One of the transformations that we see from the first plain child, that from birth to 6-year-old, to the second plain child, the 6 to 12-year-old, is that sense of justice and morality, and what Dr. Maria Montessori called the age of rudeness. The 6-year-old that comes into the classroom, they're learning the boundaries, they're learning the guidelines, and they want to enforce every rule. And they want to see their friends following the rules, and they want to feel like there's justice going on in the classroom. But what's so funny at the same time is they are also pushing those boundaries and trying to test what they can get away with. And so you could see, Dr. Maria Montessori said that this is the age of tattletale as well. So you'll see the 6-year-old or the 7-year-old just tattling constantly on their friends. She took my pencil, she looked at me, that was my rug, I wanted to use the bathroom first,
it's my turn for snack.
Whatever it is. But then you turn around and they're doing the exact same thing they just told their friends on, or you just saw them doing it about 5 minutes ago. So it's just really funny to see that dynamic.
They do become very invested in what's right and what's fair, and something that's really hard for a 6-year-old to learn is that fairness doesn't mean that everyone gets the exact same thing. There are some students who need accommodations, or who need more time for something, or that just have maybe different expectations in a classroom, and that can be hard as well, because we have a 3-year limit or a 3-year age group in our classrooms, and so there could be an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old getting into some shenanigans together, and the consequences for the shenanigans will be different, because the 8-year-old has been with me for a while and the 6-year-old is brand new, and so there's kind of a different learning gap there, and some of those 8-year-olds are saying, like, this isn't fair, right? There's this kind of understanding that the expectations for them have become a little bit higher, and that can be a weird thing that they have to wrestle with.
And I also love seeing that transition when they have been with me for 2 to 3 years, and how they transform from that 6-year-old that tattletaled and we're pushing these boundaries, to be someone who's now a leader in the classroom, and it's helping me to enforce those rules. Going up to their friend and saying, excuse me, I noticed that you're tipping your chair. Can you please put your chair down? Or, I'm working. Can we talk about this at recess? Kind of just growing into that leadership mode, and they're just really thriving, and just showing the younger children how to behave in the classroom.
They become very social, and becoming so social means that there are conflicts to navigate. And in helping through conflict resolution, we model a lot of very specific language. You use specific language so that you know exactly what you're apologizing for, what you're asking to change, and certain kind words, I statements. There's a lot of these things that we really try to teach and model so that they know how to use them themselves. And it's really amazing when a child turns 7 or 8 and they've been with us for a while, and all of a sudden it seems out of nowhere, but it's been working for a while, kind of in the background, and they start being able to not only handle their own conflicts better, but rather than come and get a teacher when something happens, they might just push themselves into a situation and then handle it. Have each person give their side of the story and come to a sort of concluding statement together that helps to wrap it all up. And it's cool that a 7-year-old can do that for 2 6-year-olds. And we see it every year, and it always kind of blows my mind that they can do this, but it's something that work really hard on.
I just had an observer in my classroom a couple of weeks ago, and she studied to be a Montessori teacher, and so she, was taking notes on my class and the characteristics of the students, and she, came back to me later, and she was like, I'm just really amazed about how much trust you put into the students, because oftentimes she would see a conflict and would want to step in and kind of help them solve their own problems, and she could see that my ears have perked up and I'm listening to this conversation, but I'm not doing anything, right? She's like, how can this adult in the classroom not do anything about this? And it's because I've given them the tools that they need, and I am there, and this is a safe place for them to practice these conflict resolutions. It's a safe place for them to practice their I statements. It's not okay to just yell stop, because the other person might not realize that what they're doing is bothering you, and they might not realize the exact thing that they're doing that's bothering you, right? Is it that you're close to you, or did they accidentally mark on your paper? You know, what is exactly bothering you? And you can hear the students saying, I didn't like it when, you know, you took my scissors, or I didn't like it when you had a longer turn at snack, or you ate 2 snacks and I only got to eat 1. And that let the other child know exactly what they were doing that was inconveniencing or annoying the other student, and then they knew exactly what to apologize for and what exactly to stop.